Rise for invocation by Pastor Calvin Giltner of Port Orange Presbyterian Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening, everybody. It's not going to be a regular prayer, so you don't have to close your eyes. You don't need to bow your heads. I know folks come from different faith traditions, so I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable that they need to pray my way. But if I was going to pray at a city council meeting, I'd pray for the mayor. I'd pray for all the council members. I'd pray for the city manager. I'd pray for the attorney. I would pray for the clerk. I would pray for our law enforcement folks and our fire department, all those who keep us safe and protect us. I'd pray for our department heads, all the folks who work in this great city to keep everything running. And then I'd pray for everybody on this side of the podium too, right? Our citizens, our visitors, our guests, our seniors, our families, our children, our youth, business owners, managers, employees. I'd pray that we'd all be able to work together to keep this city the beautiful place that it is. Place to live, to work, to shop, to go to school, to play, have a good cup of coffee or a nice glass of wine. I pray that by working together, we could leave our city a little bit better than we found it. That's how I would pray. Shalom and peace. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilmember Foley.
Here.
Councilmember
Here.
Councilmember Stiltner.
Here.
Mayor Basham.
Here.
Mayor Burnett.
Here. May I have a motion to approve the agenda for the evening? So moved. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The agenda for the evening is approved. So that brings us to item 4, proclamation for Mr. Jim Purdy. Council, if you all join me. I was going to say 16 years just doing this.
Yeah, that's right. I almost said aye when you said approve the agenda. Doing that at Public Defender Association meetings.
Well, I was just thinking that 16 years and your successor is here as well. And he thinks he needs to be out there taking pictures, but I think it'd be very appropriate, since you paved the way for him, if our public defender, Matt Metz, would come up and join us as well.
And also in the audience is Bob Ryan, our administrative director for the Public Defender's Office. And he and I have been neighbors starting back in 1990 out in Windsor Hills. So we've both been residents of Port Orange for the last 30 years or so.
All right.
He finally burned his mortgage. I moved and didn't.
Well, you're retired.
I retired though.
1 out of 2 ain't bad.
That's right, that's right.
With that, I have a proclamation to read. Whereas James S. Purdy began his service as the elected public defender of the 7th Judicial Circuit of Florida in January of 2005. Jim has served as both an assistant attorney general and an assistant state attorney in the 7th and 12th Judicial Districts of Florida and spent 7 years in private practice. And whereas Jim has longtime roots in the area, having graduated from Seabreeze High School, we're not going to hold that against him today. Among his first jobs was working as a busboy at Julian's Dining Room, which is now an empty lot, and lounge on Atlantic Avenue, Norman Beach. Jim is a longtime resident here in Port Orange, and whereas Jim graduated cum laude with a Bachelor of Arts degree in history from the University of Florida in 1975, and received his Juris Doctorate degree from Nova University Center for the Study of Law in 1978, and whereas public defenders represent clients who cannot afford their own criminal defense attorneys, and the 7th Judicial Circuit includes Volusia, Flagler, St. John's, and Putnam counties. That's a lot of area.
A lot of area.
As well as Mr. Metz has figured out.
Yeah, put a lot of miles on the car.
Jim oversaw 57 trial attorneys in the felony, misdemeanor, and juvenile divisions who handled 33,000 cases a year. There were also 22 appellate attorneys under Jim's direction. Jim was known as a loyal boss and highly dedicated to getting the job done. And whereas Jim has been involved in the community by serving as chairman of the Volusia County Republican Party, as district chairman of the Boy Scouts of America for the Kings Road and Three Rivers districts, and he has served as the Florida Medical Examiners Commission since his appointment in 2008, and volunteers, this is the really, really cool gig because he still does this, volunteers for the National Park Service at the historic Castillo de San Marcos in St. Augustine. And whereas the good part for him, Jim retired on December 31st, 2020 to enjoy family, traveling, and dedicating more time to his passion for history. Now, therefore, I, Donald O. Burnett, Mayor of the City of Port Orange, Florida, do hereby proclaim today, May 4th, I'm sorry, we were going to do this last month. Today, June 1st, James S. Purdy Day in the City of Port Orange, and encourage all residents to join me in wishing Jim the best in his well-deserved retirement and thanking him for many years of service to the city. And with my signature and the seal of the city, it is so declared.
I appreciate it.
Now, here's the part where you got to say it.
Yeah, well, I forgot to introduce my better half, my wife Marilyn, who we've been married now for 40 years. Yeah. Okay. Well, like I
You
was
started
saying,
way young.
yeah,
Or at least she did.
we've been living here in Port Orange since 1990. So we started out over in the Hamlet for 1 year, where we rented a house, then moved out to Windsor Hill, then to Forest Lake Preserve, and now we're over in Royal Palm. So we've been doing the area around Westport for the last 30 years or so. Love it here. Don't ever intend to leave. It's an hour drive to my new job as a volunteer at the National Park Service, but it's worth doing and coming back home. But I want to thank you for this honor. It really means a lot to me having this coming from my hometown. But thank you very much.
Well, see, obviously, Mr. Purdy prefers District 3, which is my district.
Uh-huh.
Because you've lived
Out on the west side.
Basically 30 years.
That's right. That's right.
We appreciate it.
It's a great zip code.
It is,
Uh-huh.
indeed.
Jonathan, you got anything to add?
I'm all right. Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
your retirement. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, and I know you've got a long way to go before you get there.
Yeah. You moved here in 1990, and I wasn't born until 1992.
That's
Quite a life of service.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep hearing things like that. Chase?
Well, sorry to lose you in the Hamlet, that's where I grew up,
Mhm.
I hope it wasn't because any of the kids ate your house or anything like that.
No, nothing like that.
You
Just
missed?
was renting a house and then bought one.
But, your service, is one to aspire to.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Great distinction, it's been an absolute privilege listening to you for years on the radio and now joining you.
Well, on the Bernier show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well deserved,
Mhm.
well deserved to you as well.
Mhm. Thank you.
Scott?
Always had a pleasure working with
Mhm.
you in the courtroom,
Yep.
depositions,
Yep.
and I started off as a young police officer in '89, and Jim and a lot of the fine folks over there at the state attorney's office were kind of sharpening their swords back then.
Yep.
And one time I was in, I'm sure you don't remember, one time I was in a deposition with Jim, and kind of before we got started, it was a DUI, and Jim was like, you should know that you have to be Port Orange strong.
Yeah, that's right.
But Jim was always a true professional, great representative on both sides for justice, and always prepared.
Thank you.
And that is that's something that I think all attorneys that are in that field, whether they're on the prosecution side or on the defense side, preparation is what is owed to those folks that are being represented. And you were always
Thank you.
one of the best that I ever saw in terms of being prepared and ready to represent them in the best way possible.
Well, I appreciate that. And I'm passing the torch on to a worthy successor. Matt Metz is going to do a great job. He came up through the ranks in my office and turned out to be a leader real quick, and became my felony division chief, about 3 or 4 years ago?
About 4 years.
About 4 years ago, and just really caught fire in the office, and has done a great job of running the felony division. Now he's going to be running 4 counties worth.
Well, my wife didn't know what she was signing up for. When she told me I was a public defender, but we've been really lucky to have such an inspiring leader for the last few years that's made sure it's kept us all in line and pushed us all to be better. Thank you very much, Mr. Birdie.
Thank you, I appreciate
Well, I
it.
tell you what,
Right man to carry it forward.
Mhm.
he left big shoes for you to fill. I hope they
His
don't
big-
end up
his
being
are bigger than
cement
mine.
shoes.
Yeah.
But
His are bigger than mine.
Jim, I tell you what,
Mhm.
you think of the public defender, it's not something that is real happy. Okay, he's working with the worst of the worst a lot of times. But this is, if we're going to have a constitution in our country, we have to have that aspect of defense. We have to do it the right way all the time. And I know it has not been easy, but it's been vital, and you've done it a lot. You've done it the right way for a long time. You've been a model of what a good public defender should be.
I
And
appreciate it.
I thank you for your
Thank you,
service.
Ray, thank you very much. Thank you, appreciate that. And we'll leave y'all to do your business now, but thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Does he get to have both days? Can we give him May as well?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, why not?
Okay.
You live in Port Orange, Mark? What's
No, he lives over on the.
I'm Daytona, I apologize. I didn't take it.
Leave it to Lance. Oh, perfect.
Consent agenda, public comments on consent agenda items only. Are there anybody who wishes to speak to any of the items that are on consent? Nobody. There being none, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Scott got it.
We have a motion, we have a proper second. All in favor, I'm sorry, do we have anything on there? Yes, we do.
You do.
There's a resolution, so call the roll.
Councilmember Foley,
Yes.
Councilmember Draymont,
Yes.
Councilmember Silver.
Yes.
Vice Mayor West.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. Citizen participation non-agenda. Robin, did we have any? Okay. On to council comments, item 13. Start with Jonathan.
Nothing tonight.
Okay. Chase?
Just a quick comment on our Memorial Day celebration that we had yesterday. Our Parks and Rec just did a fabulous job. It was an absolute privilege to, I think it's probably one of the first events that I've been to as a city of the size of that magnitude since COVID. So it was really nice to get back in a crowd like that and honor those that made the ultimate sacrifice, so that we can do exactly what we do day in and day out. And but also one of the highlights of that was meeting a gentleman by the name of Frank. I wish I could remember his last name, but 99 years old, going to be turning 100 August 26th. He served in the
World
Battle
War
of the
II.
Bulge and Operation Overlord, otherwise known as D-Day. So it was a true pleasure to shake that man's hand, and my compliments to you, Mayor. Fabulous words and a great charge for us all. Not just to remember them on one day, but to live a life worthy day in and day out of the sacrifice that was made. So great job on that. Appreciated being a part of it. Wonderful job, Parks and Rec, as always, putting on a terrific ceremony.
Drew?
Okay, a couple meetings ago, I said I was going to read in an obituary for Chief Meister. So Port Orange lost a legendary citizen, I'll call him, and the fire department family lost a legend. So if you just oblige me a few minutes to read in his obituary, I have it on my phone. Port Orange Department of Fire and Rescue retired Division Chief George R. Meister entered into eternal rest on May 9th, 2021. In addition to being a loving husband, father, and grandfather, George was active in the fire service from the age of 18 until his retirement in 1997. After retirement, George, along with his wife, Nellie Meister, enjoyed visiting the country in their RV for several years, meeting family and friends throughout the journey. George also known his participation in the Leisure Village Christmas Gala. His house was the train house where all could view and watch his elaborate setup of Lionel trains in his living room. It gave him great joy, not only him, but to young and old alike, to see the trains in operation. Beloved husband of Nellie Meister, George, loving father to son Joel A. Meister and grandfather to Brent J. Meister and Rachel M. Meister, George passed away at the age of 76, surrounded by loved ones. George was born November 28, 1944, in Hagerstown, Maryland, to father George W. Meister and Helen M. Meister. George W. Meister remarried after passing of his first wife to Marjorie R. Meister. He was the oldest of 3 siblings and was the final one to pass. George attended and graduated Southern Huntington County High School. George had several jobs in Pennsylvania, including being a draftsman for Carlisle Tire and Rubber. His love of the fire service, which was inspired by his dad, led him to joining the Three Springs Volunteer Fire Department at the age of 18. George, in 1969, became a part-time dispatcher for Franklin County, PA, and a fire instructor for Pennsylvania State Fire School. Through the early 70s, George became a certified EMT and chief of Cumberland Fire Department number 40. In 1976, he moved his family from Pennsylvania to Port Orange, Florida. Upon arriving in the area, he started working for Beacon Ambulance Service, which is now known as EVAC. He joined the Port Orange Fire Department as a volunteer in '77 and became a full-time firefighter in October of 1977. He served 20 years with the Port Orange Fire Department, holding positions of firefighter, captain, battalion chief, and division chief of operations. During his tenure with the POFD, he earned his AS in Fire Science Technology, appointed to the Board of Directors for APCO, adjunct instructor at DBCC in Fire Science Degree Program, and graduated from the Executive Fire Officer Program at the National Fire Academy, followed by his adjunct instructor at the National Fire Academy, and wrote several articles for Fire Chief magazine. In addition to family interests, George was a member of the South Haven Christian Church and a friend to all at any RV park where they were staying at over the past 20 years. George and Nellie had two beloved cats, Baby and Oreo. These members of the family brought much joy to him as he shared his love and happiness with anyone who crossed his path. His legacy of being a wonderful, loving, kind man lives on through others. Thank you for obliging me that, and like I said, George will be missed, and thoughts and prayers to his family.
Scott?
Definitely a man who absolutely loved his community, no question. So, always enjoyed seeing George. Just a couple quick things. I had a resident, and we've actually had a couple over some period of time, asking about some lighting at the city center complex area. So I sent something over to the city manager. He's got his staff looking into that. I did happen to pop through this weekend, just a couple of like full lights, but mostly what it looks like. I'm just letting council know in case they get any more questions from residents. But we had some vandalism in the complex area a few months back. You guys may recall, in several of the low-level path lighting was vandalized where it couldn't be repaired. And so that has created, and of course they were in a row, so that has created a section over there that's relatively dark. Wayne's going to be looking into that. But for those that are interested, police department did end up, with the help of Parks and Rec and some others, did end up making a case on that. So that's great that they were able to do that. It's not so great that we now have a void of light, so to speak, in that area of the complex. So, but we are looking into that. So if you get any comments or concerns from residents, the city manager and his staff is looking to see what we can do with that now. And then also just, and maybe the city manager can weigh in on this at the end of the night in his comments, but I've had several ask about whether or not we are or not having a 4th of July celebration this year. So I think everybody will be excited to know that we are doing that, and more we'll just keep putting out the details for that. But that's all I got for tonight.
Hey, is there a flyer that we have, Christine, yet for the 4th of July? We can.
It's been on social media for the last
Yep.
month and a half.
I haven't seen it. Text it to me, please.
Port Orange City Hall Facebook page. Real good source. First of all, I want to echo what Chase said yesterday. Parks and Rec does a phenomenal job of setting up for that ceremony and breaking down. I heard from several people yesterday that attended the Memorial Day ceremony that it appeared that the crowd was as large as any that we've ever had. I don't know if that's true or not. It certainly seemed it. But I just want to let everybody know there's always room for more. There's always room for more. We spoke yesterday about the importance of not just honoring the people that have provided us our freedom, but remembering them in the way that we live our lives, honoring them that way as well. So I just wanted, like I said, thank Parks and Rec for their hard work. VFW 3282, the Knights of Columbus, and others are involved and do a terrific job every year with that, and we're very grateful. That in itself is a service to our community to be able to do such a first-class presentation. And if you're not moved by the 21-gun salute and the playing of taps at the end of that, you don't have a pulse. You don't have a heart. It really is quite incredible. The other thing I wanted to pass along to everybody is you've probably noticed by the looks of a lot of lawns that it's pretty dry out there. There are a lot of ponds that are awful low. It's incredibly dry. And sans a short shower on Saturday, it's been dry and probably will continue to be until summer season starts with the rain. So that means fire risk is pretty high. So let's be smart about what we do outdoors. It's been beautiful and it's been great to be able to spend a lot of time outdoors, but let's be smart about it as well. So with that, board appointments, interviews, and reports. Item 14, Environmental Advisory Board appointments. We have 3 different appointments. Each of these terms is of different lengths. One, Phil Klima's term. I know that he's applied to continue to serve. He's served on that board a long time. Is a full 3 years in length. Jonathan Foley, by his elevation to council through election, has left his term in part. And then we have another person who, by a lack of participation, has forfeited his term. So we actually have 3 different terms. So we can't just nominate and elect them all at once. We have to be specific. And I want to give a chance before we do, I will fill them in order to allow the 5 candidates. Some of them are here. If you would like to come up and in order, I will call you. Tell us why would you like to serve. Kat Atwood, your name is first on the list. I'd love you to have come up.
Mayor, council, thank you. I first want to say yesterday's ceremony was amazing, but your speech was spot on. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
My name is Kat Atwood. I have applied for this board because I've been trying to get on any board so I can serve this community, and people will not give up their seats, which is a great problem to have. But when these board seats came available, my name and my application had been in, and the city clerk's office has done a phenomenal job with staying in touch and letting me know that there were openings or something had slid. But environmentally, I probably don't have a lot to bring to the table, but I will tell you that that, in my mind, is a good thing, because you don't always have to be an environmentalist or a scientist to sit on these boards. Sometimes you need the voice of a resident who is going to ask the questions the rest of the residents want to know the answer to. And I want to be that person. My thoughts recently have been to be more active in the community and more involved with what's going on, not just in my own neighborhood. I live here in District 2, but I want to do more for the city as a whole. And board eligibility was the first thing that I thought of, that I should try to fulfill that. I'm open if you have any questions. I don't have much else to tell you. I've been here, my husband and I have owned a home here since 2014. I am a Volusia County girl. I grew up in Orange City, but I left for a career in the military, so we were gone for about 30 years. And we came back and we settled here in Port Orange.
I love how you said that. We were gone for 30 years, like you took a 3-day weekend.
It did fly by though. It did. It went really, really quickly. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kat.
Is John Beal here? And I don't see Phil Klima, our longest serving
Board
person
member,
on that
yeah.
board. And Dan Pompey.
Dan is here.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name's Daniel Pompey. I'm a resident Port Orange since 1986. Served 25 years at the fire department, Daytona Beach, retired. I own Daniel Pompey's Tree Service, which I incorporated in 1995. And I am a ISA certified arborist, tree risk assessment qualified person. The purpose for me being on the board, that my interest is to preserve our global canopy, preserve the trees in our area, and become involved by giving back to the community with my experience, my knowledge, and my ability to serve. So, with that, I haven't been on a board before, so it's going to be new to me. But being with the fire department and being in commission meetings and working with staff and everything, I think I'll fit in pretty well.
Dan, you retired, you were a division chief or assistant chief?
I was the battalion chief.
Battalion chief, okay.
I served as assistant chief and short-term
And-
fire
yeah,
chief. Yep.
Okay.
My education, I have a master's degree in public administration from the University of Central Florida, and I also have a BS public administration and fire science degree. So,
Well, you had me at UCF, but
okay, thank you.
any other questions?
Big UCF guy right here.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
And Melissa France. Hello, Reverend.
Hello,
How are you?
It's good to see you all again. So my name is Melissa France. I am the associate pastor at Daytona Beach Drive-In Christian Church, and I have been a resident of the city of Port Orange since way before Jonathan was born.
It wasn't that long ago.
This is gonna this is gonna have life. It's
Yeah.
got it's got
It's a mileage
legs.
out there.
So you haven't been here that long?
Yeah, right. So, yeah, I've been in Port Orange as a resident since the 3rd grade, and I'm a product of Port Orange Elementary,
Oh,
Silver
nice.
Sands, and Spruce Creek High. Live and reside right here. I have no experience with being on any city boards, but I've been in plenty of church meetings and church boards my whole life. So I wanted to give back to the community that has been giving to me my entire life, and am looking forward to the experience. So that's all I have.
Questions? Anybody?
Just why the environmental board specifically? The other two kind of alluded to that.
Sure, yeah. So I became aware of environmental concerns really through my theological education. So for me, and taking care of the environment is what we are called to do as people. We are to be good stewards of the earth. And so I want to bring that side of things without being preachy to that cause. And I enjoy the waterways and the parks and everything else that we have plentiful here, and want to preserve those as well.
There you go. Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 3. I love the embarrassment
know.
of riches that we have once again. You've got 5 good people. We've got 3 positions. The first one is the full 3-year term that Phil Klima just finished. I would like a nomination for that position right now, please.
I'd like to nominate Phil to continue since he is willing to serve.
Okay.
Can I just point out really quickly, Mayor, if you don't mind, Phil was here at our last meeting thinking that it was his appointment.
Ah,
And I think there may have been some crosswires to why, and maybe why he's not in attendance.
maybe.
Because he was here for that exact reason last.
He's been here to many meetings where he hasn't had to be here too as well, so. So I take it that you'd like to second the nomination?
I will second that nomination.
Are there any other nominations for the full 3-year term? There being none, nominations are closed. All for approval of Mr. Philip Klima for the 3-year position on the Environmental Advisory Board, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Phil must like the pay and benefits because he's just been reappointed. The second position runs through May 7th of, I'm sorry, May 7th of 2023, and there's one May 7th of 2022, so we should do that. May 7th of 2023, that gives us about 2 years.
You taking
I will
nominations?
take nominations. Nominations are open.
I would like to nominate Mr. Daniel Pompey for that position for the May 7th, 2023.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second for Mr. Daniel Pompey. Are there any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Kat Atwood for that position.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Are there any other nominations? There being none, nominations are closed. Do we have the ballots ready?
Now, this is just for the term ending in 23, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So basically, you're gonna either write,
Take
you
one.
can Pompey or Atwood. You gotta let us fill them in, Jonathan.
I'm trying. Chase won't take them.
And Robin will collect them. This is,
Date 6/1/21.
you just write a last name, a first name, either one, I think will be identifying enough. And sign it.
Now we have one more position.
All right, so Councilmember Foley voted for Daniel Pompey. Am I saying that right?
Pompey.
Pompey.
Yes.
Chase Tremont, also Daniel Pompey. Councilman Stiltner's Cat Atwood. Vice Mayor Bastian's Pompey, and Mayor Burnett is Atwood. So it's 3-2.
So 3-2, Daniel Pompey is appointed.
Thank you, Daniel, for your interest.
Thanks, Daniel.
We have one more position to fill, which runs through the term of May 7th of 2022, which is approximately 1 year in length. Nominations are now open.
I'd like to nominate.
I'd like to nominate Cat Atwood.
I'll second that.
We have a nomination and a second for Cat Atwood. Other nominations? Any other nominations? There being none, nominations are closed. For the remaining term of, that expires on May 7th of 2022, I have one nomination for Cat Atwood. Will council signify by saying aye for approval of that nomination?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Once again,
No opposed.
once again, the pay and benefits aren't that great, but
terrible.
your service is appreciated. Reverend, I appreciate the fact that you're willing to serve, and there may be a chance that this opens up a year from now, that I would love it if you'd reapply at that point in time.
Yes.
Love to, if not this board, I'd love to have you on a board, but I think you'd be a great fit on this one.
I
definitely
just want
keep-
to add to the comments. I hate that there were only these few spots, but very impressive. And I hope you'll look to serve at another time.
Yeah, definitely please keep your application updated with Robin.
I'll be the first to nominate.
Yeah.
It's on the record.
Item 15, Golf Advisory Board report. Mr. Lance Green sighting.
Pleasure to see you, Mr. Green.
Good evening. And again, Drew, and commenting on George, I spent many hour in that living room, many hour looking at that guy's trains. I mean, that guy was
Mesmerized.
incredible. My kid loved trains, and I mean, it was years and
Oh, and
Lot of
remember the
time.
big Toys for Tots pizza
yeah.
parties that he used to do every year. And
George was the man. He was
Yeah.
the Leisure Village man. That's why everybody went down there. But
Yep.
anyway, a couple of things. Lance Green, Golf Course Advisory Board. Just want to make note that there are still some openings for the June 19th Mayor's Tournament. There's about 13 more foursomes available. So get in there before you get shut out.
I guess I better register.
Yeah, and get paid. We're gonna need your money first. A couple things that I do want to just bring to your attention. We talked about, we had a golf board meeting tonight before I came here, and a couple things that came up, and one of them is pretty important. And I know that you guys have been out there playing on the golf course, but there's a stretch between number 15 and number 16 that has some woods. There are residents that live back to those woods, and we're having some issues with people relieving themselves in this guy's backyard. It's come to a point to where this guy has kids, and we're getting into something that, you know, is exposure.
Highly inappropriate.
We've talked to Susan about this at the meeting, and we need to to get some enforcement on how to handle this. We're talking about some additional signage. We have signs on the course,
Yep.
and unfortunately they're kind of brown and they kind of just go into the woods, and I don't, and it's literally 2 houses or 2 holes past the bathroom, and people are peeing in this guy's stretch of woods, and we're getting complaints to the daily at the clubhouse and something's going to need to be done in that respect. We talked about, again, better education at the cash register, that people in fact live here, and you're peeing in somebody's backyard or whatever it is. But we're actually going to talk to the police department about what to do, or maybe there's some signage that says, hey, you're not just doing this in somebody's backyard. There are people that can see you, and you're now into some exposure issues or what. But it's got to be addressed, and I think it's something that's very important that we need to address.
Lance, is the homeowner calling this in when this is happening?
Every
and
time.
Reporting it?
Yeah.
Are they making contact? I mean,
I can't
should be able
answer
to
that,
describe.
but I know we're getting 4 phone calls a day at the clubhouse
Okay.
about this certain little stretch. And
Okay.
somebody's moved into the house now that has young kids, and that is their backyard.
Sure.
But it's just a bad stretch, okay? And it's literally 2 holes after the bathroom. So with that being said, we're gonna continue to address that, and we, Susan's starting to maybe look at some other language that we can put at the cart and put at the cash register. Coming up in the near future, now we talked last time about some of the lake banks and the erosion of the lake banks, more specifically hole number 14. We got a couple on number 8. And in talking to the superintendent today, and this is something that we at Cypress Head over the years have done to Cypress Head, is we've eliminated all vegetation along the golf course side of the golf course. We are killing the ponds, and by doing this. This is the thing that keeps the banks from eroding. And the wording that we got today is we need to let the banks grow back. We need to let the vegetation, selective vegetation, grow back on these banks instead of going and putting in rocks and putting in walls or doing something artificial. We need to get back to nature and leave it in natural. Now, obviously, it's not a good thing when it comes to golfers, when it comes to snakes and alligators, but we have signage that says you're playing golf, and there is wildlife in these things, but this is something I think that we're going to look into. We need to get back to is letting the vegetation grow back on these ponds instead of dumping a bunch of money into putting in walls and rock that may not work. Okay, so we talked about that. We talked about the RFP coming up. It's coming up. Obviously, it's in the next year. They're going to get some red lines coming up on the RFP that's going to come before our committee. And in January, I think the RFP is going to go out, and eventually, if there is a change, it will happen somewhere probably in March, if we're going to have a new golf course company. So that's just something that's coming up. Another thing that's coming up is carts and cart renewals, and are we going to buy new carts, or are we going to lease new carts? The carts that exist today are going to be obsolete starting next year because they're going to different batteries, etc. So that's going to be coming up in the near future to you guys as well. But on the other side, the golf course is performing well. Our superintendent is performing well. We are the best golf course in the county by far, and the cash register is showing it. People are coming out to play golf, and we couldn't be more blessed right now. Our superintendent's doing a great job, and same thing. He goes through the flood and then the drought. But he has handled it well, and nothing but good comments coming back from the residents of Cypress Head, and again, the property values in Cypress Head continue to go up because of that golf course. That's all I have tonight. Questions?
Questions, council?
Good job.
Thank you,
guys.
Lance. Good
Thanks.
report.
Thank you, sir.
Public hearing portion of the meeting is now open. Item 16. Item 16 is second reading of ordinance number 2021-10. Ordinance number 2021-10 is an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, amending Chapter 54, Article 4, Fire and Rescue Pension Fund, by amending Section 54-77, Definitions, amending Section 54-104, Benefits and Contribution for Members Hired on or after December 4th, 2012, providing for repeal of conflicting resolutions, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve ordinance number 2021-10.
Second.
We have a motion and a proper second. The item is open and on the floor for discussion. Second reading, council comments or questions?
The only thing that I noticed, Mayor, in the summary, and I don't think it's a big deal, there's just a typo. It says we're changing the multiplier from 2 to 3%. Actually, the current multiplier is 2.5. And it's stated in the ordinance as that. So I think this is just, I don't think it affects our action, but we are going from 2.5 to 3, not 2 to 3.
Truth in advertising is
Yeah.
good to make that point.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? There being none, would anyone here care to speak to the item? There being none, back to council. Questions? There being none, call the roll.
Councilmember Foley,
Yes.
Councilmember Tremont.
Yes.
Councilmember Stiltner.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Basham.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. The public hearing portion of the meeting is now closed. Regular agenda, item 17, first reading, ordinance number 2021-14, which is an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, amending Chapter 74, Article 1 of the Code of Ordinances to establish a new Section 74-83 related to requirements for dental facilities that remove or place amalgam fillings, providing for definitions, establishing reporting and waste management practices for amalgam, providing for applicability and exemptions, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for codification, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2021-14.
Second.
We have a motion, proper second. The item is open and on the floor for discussion. Wayne, what do you got for us on this one?
Lynn Stevens, your Public Works and Utilities Director, is here to answer any questions for council.
It seemed pretty cut and dry, is it?
It is. It is very cut and dry. Good evening, Lynn Stevens, Public Works Utilities Director. So this ordinance basically gives us the authority to enforce the rules that were established in 2017 by the United States EPA under the Clean Water Act. They modified their rule to include the disposal of dental amalgam. Dental amalgam is the fillings left over when they're removed. Many of it was winding up in our sanitary sewer system, in our environment, and under the Clean Water Act, the US EPA and state of Florida modified their rule to govern how dental offices dispose of that product. The dental offices had 3 years to comply. They had to provide reports to the city of Port Orange under our industrial pretreatment. They've all complied, so we're in good shape. This ordinance just allows us to continue maintaining compliance.
Okay.
Makes it officially official.
Makes it officially official.
Okay.
Yes.
Questions, council?
That makes sense.
There being none, would anyone here care to speak to the item?
Any dentist? Good dentist?
There being none, back to us. No final comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Foley,
Yes.
Councilmember Tremont.
Yes.
Councilmember Stiltner.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Basham.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. Additional items, city attorney.
I just wanted to remind you, the next meeting will be the my eval, public eval, but I'll be reaching out to each of you to have one-on-one discussions in advance of that meeting. So be on the lookout for an email and just let me know when you want to get together. That's it.
Okay, city manager.
Just following up on Councilmember Stiltner's comments, the 4th of July celebration will start 5:30 activities here, 9 o'clock fireworks. There will be a band performing,
Hey,
kids
fire.
activities, the regular 4th of July that we've grown used to.
Okay. That was the whole idea of vaccinate, get back to normal, and here we are.
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Council committee reports, River to Sea TPO.
Not a whole lot, going through just different projects, but one thing that I wanted to bring up to council is that they are continuing to wrap up and work on drafts on the long-range planning projects. A couple of note, because I've had some recent questions about this recently, is what's going on at I-95 and Pioneer Trail. So for 21-22, there's about 7.4 million in that
for right-of-way as well as engineering. That total project is at about $39 million now. So that one continues to climb. On our local projects, we've still got several projects there that look good and on track in the for the Dunlawton corridor, some of the turn lane stuff and whatnot. So I do have to touch base probably with Tim and Wayne at some point, because on one of the charts it does have some. It shows like certain intersections with turn lanes, and then there's one that says bundle lanes, and I just trying to make sure I can decipher which ones that is and where we're at. So I'll touch base with them, but I'll get those minutes forwarded over to everybody else to take a look at.
Okay. Anything else on that one?
Nope.
General Employees Pension Plan.
That plan is doing great, doing really well. Investments are good, returns are really good, so nothing to really report other than that, other than good news.
We like good news. Fire Pension Board.
Can I just say ditto to what Scott said about pension plan? Fire pension meeting went well. Plan's doing pretty good. It's up 2.7% this quarter, 40% year over year. And it, on the last quarter, actually outperformed almost 90% of its peers, which I thought was pretty impressive.
Great. Good.
Yeah, so good news out of that plan.
Police Pension Board.
Also, I already gave this report at the last meeting, but good news from that plan as well. The highlights, 14% net of fees fiscal year to date, over 80% funded, and the plan's valued at over $53 million. So it continues to grow slowly but surely, and it's been performing well for several years.
Excellent. Any other business come before us this evening? There being none, we'll see you all in 2 weeks. Have a good night, everybody.